Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Invictus Racing League. My name is Harry, and you join me live on YouTube 8 PM for the F2 League, and we are here at round 10 for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We come into this one with our top two separated by a single point, and the two AlphaTauris not too far behind as well. It's a great showdown between the top four drivers for the last 3 rounds to find out who will be the champion of Season 11 F2. But to call all the action, I've got my teammate from on Monday night, Scott Bugner. Scott, how are you doing? We've got a real championship fight on our hands.
We have indeed, yeah. I think due to your finishing points yesterday, I think this is the closest championship we've got at the minute. Yeah, it looks good. I think we're set for a great last 3 rounds, as you said. I think Monster Blue is in the Mercedes is I think he's got the edge at the minute. He's done well the last couple of rounds. He's knuckled down, got his head down, and he really seems to be in a good groove at the minute.
He absolutely does, and of course he's bounced back after back-to-back wins in China, and of course Abu Dhabi in rounds 4 and 5. He bounced back from some two not so good DNF in Monaco, a real shocker from him there. But he said he really hated Monaco and he lived up to it, and sadly for him. And of course he got a 4th place in Canada, but he's arrived back then in Spa and Hungary with back-to-back wins, and beats us after picking up a crucial penalty after having contact with Roy Boy under safeguard conditions towards the end of the Hungarian Grand Prix, has dropped 10 points to Monster Blue in that previous round, and he goes in to round 10 with his championship lead reduced to 1 single point, and so it's going to be a very, very interesting one. And as you can see, we've got a couple of returning names to the F2 League, and we've got Mr. Steen joining us back after going back down into F3 mid-season, so it's great to have him back in a Haas, and we thank him very much for joining in, boosting the numbers for this evening's race around Azerbaijan, and we wish him the best of luck. And also we've got the 2 Scotsmen, Mac and Craig, in the 2 Renault, so keep an eye out for them. Of course Craig stepping up from F3, and Mac, who's dropped down from F1 to fill the numbers. Of course, Mac, who's 1 F3, 1 F2, and he's done. I think he's had a solid. He's had an up and down season in F1. Scott, we can talk about Mac because we get on quite well, and of course he won't take it personally, whatever. But he's had a good season. I think he'd definitely say the first half of the season was perhaps a little bit stronger than he would have. Certainly a lot stronger than his second half of the season. It's been a little bit up and down for him. I know he's particularly struggled. He hasn't particularly liked the tracks that have been on the calendar, but he's really held his own in F1, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think he's done a lot better than expected. Taking nothing away from him, he did say, he wants to get points and just consistently get better and better throughout the season. I think, yeah, okay, he's had his ups and downs at the second half of the season, but I think his pace has improved. I'm just seeing that obviously we've got Craig, the other Scotsman, in. I haven't actually commentated on him before, but I'm hoping he drives a bit better than what he does on the 5 lappers that we do, because it'd be carnage if he doesn't. But no, going back to Mac, I think he's done great. I think he should be happy. He's had some decent point scores. His qualifying hasn't actually been too bad, I don't think either. It's so tight in F1, with the qualifying lap times. Most of the grid's separated by sort of nearly a second, so it's so difficult to get that extra edge. But no, I'll give Mac full credit, and hopefully he rejoins again next season, and he can go for a sort of a top 5 push in the championship.
I'm sure we'll be hoping so, and of course, he's definitely picked up some really good results, and he's just sort of always been in there. If he hasn't been inside the points, he's just been just outside, and he actually retired in the latter stages of this race. He hadn't had too much practice around the Baku circuit, which is why, if you're thinking, well, what's an F1 driver doing in F2? Well, yeah, he hasn't really had all that too much practice, and of course, Rimac doesn't use assists, and of course, these guys in F2, they're allowed to use just a few more assists, the likes of ABS, traction control, and of course, racing line is of course prohibited, allowed as well. But we arrive here in qualifying. It's very grey and dark skies, but it looks like a bone dry track, which will be a bit of a blessed relief to these guys, I'm sure. 13 car grid, so those outside from 11th, 12th and 13th will get the favoured choice of whatever tyres they like, and of course there'll be a brand new set as well. But we'll see what they can do, and of course Craig's right in the other Renault. reigning F3 champion, although sadly outgoing F3 champion. It's not been quite the return this season as I'm sure he would have liked, but I'm sure he'll do his best this evening to try and rack up a good result. And of course these guys just setting up their just getting their setups tuned. I think it might be Hulkenberger who might well be first one out in the Williams gang, of course, at the end of the pit lane. And we were saying, Scott, when we was doing obviously a little bit of practice over the weekend, of course, Monday before our race as well, this probably is one of the, I think we might have someone gone, have we got a little bit of bug here? I think someone has, oh no, sorry, I think it's, I heard a little bit of a noise there. I think it's Rudy, in fact, who's gone out first. But we were saying, Scott, while practicing, this really is, it's a very rewarding lap to get right, but that is purely because you're millimetres away from barriers, and it is one of the hardest laps to probably nail on the calendar this season.
You are, and you didn't hear, Bug. It actually was Mr. Steen come out of the pits and was totally taking his wing off. So I don't know too sure what happened, but I'm just on board with him now. He's got no end plates left, so he'll be struggling to get round on that out lap. But yeah, it is a really hard lap to nail. And like we said the other night, when you nail a quality lap, it feels great, but it's so hard to nail that lap and get every single corner sort of, inch perfect. No, it'll be great. It's a difficult track, like I said. You really want to push to the limit, and then there's that one corner that we all dread, going into the castle section, that you can't push it. You have to go in as a sort of a slow and steady wins the race sort of pace into there, because you miss the apex on the first left, and that wall is, you've got no time to react. So you've really got to really nail the lap if you want to get a decent lap time, as you found. I don't know how you did it, but the other day you found about half a second in one lap. Yeah, once you nail the lap and you can do it once or twice, it's okay, but it's all about consistency. But I think we've also got Roy Boys having a bit of internet trouble, like he did a couple of races ago, but he keeps leaving and enjoying the session, but hopefully he can sort that out. Yeah.
And we just saw Nightshades going through the dreaded castle section. You've got the 90-degree right of turn 7, which you'll see a lot of these guys almost effectively cutting. The track limits are pretty kind around there, and that's really the fastest way to go around it. If you practically sort of go to the right-hand side of the right-hand curb, so you really are almost going 4 wheels off the track. But of course, everyone does it. You're not really gaining advantage. If everyone just rides their luck on it, that's the fastest way to get back onto the power. And then you've got the dreaded corners of 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. That's the castle section. 11 and 12 are not too bad, but it really is the 8, 9 and 10. There's sort of the left, right, left, and of course if you just tap the wall at any one of those corners in quick succession, then not only will you lose a front wing end plate, you really could find yourself losing an entire wheel. And of course the one dreaded fear that you could have is if you do crash there, we could see, and I know we see this in a single player with dodgy AI and all this, and you see videos on YouTube of bad crashes. Thankfully, if these guys, ghosting is on, but lap 1, if you go a little bit deep in turn 8 straight into the Water Castle like Charles Leclerc did in qualifying last season, we could be on for a lap 1 car park.
Absolutely, yeah. Like we said, in some of the sometimes it ghosts and sometimes it don't. Hopefully for these guys tonight it does for them. You don't want to race going on lap 1, but yeah, it is a really dreaded corner, especially like you said on lap 1. If you're mid pack, or you just want to have your fingers crossed and your toes crossed and make sure that you get away, scot free from there. And I did it last night. I said to you before the race last night, every time I go through there, I hold my breath, because I really dislike it. But just on board with Monster Blue now. He's just coming as he's flat out now through the last chicane. He's about to come up to the DRS point about now. Rymax set at 39.7 as our banker. Let's see what Monster Blue does as a banker lap. We know how quick he has been. It's a great lap. Great banker there. Beast us over 138.1 as a banker. That's 2 very, very, very good laps there.
Yeah, and Hutari not too far away as well. Mashiro looking like he's might have even been giving his teammate a tail or something. I'm not too sure there. He's come into the pit lane and he's left the session, so we'll have to come back and have a look about what that one was about. Let's have a look at Speed Queen, who's there tearing up through the last sector, flat all the way down the home straight. There's that little right little left right, and there's another little right which is actually deemed as turn 20 where the DRS detection zone is. The speed queen comes across the line of 39.0, so it's the top three, a little bit distance between themselves. Beastas and Monster Blue got that little bit of a gap to Hotari, so the top two in a little bit of breakaway. Hotari on a bit of his own turf. We'll have a look at Craig in the Renault, who's coming down the home straight. The number 12 Scotsman, what can he do? As I said, the reigning F3 champion trying his luck out in F2 and 40.2, so about half a second off his F1 teammate. Where we've got Hulkenberg on the track, he's about just to come up to the start finish line as well. We've got Roy Boy just starting his flying lap as well. Be interesting to see how he goes, because we know how much pace he's certainly got in the bag, and he's really proved himself as a real contender to the sort of solidified top four of late. Hulkenberg comes across the line at 41.5, so I'm sure I'll be looking just to try and build on that bank lap. Got a few more cars coming across the start finish line as well, so we'll have a look at them. We've got Ferrari pulling off into the pit lane. We've got a hassle, Mr. Steen looks like invalidated. In fact, we've got a couple of guys. I think Rudy invalidated his first run as well, which is a little bit of a surprise, Scott. I mean, I know you managed to get a time penalty. I got a couple of warnings, but in terms of the tracks, well, we've got Russia coming up next, which is a completely kettle of fish. But this circuit, really, if you're concentrating, there shouldn't really be too many excuses in terms of track invalidations, because it's actually pretty kind around here.
It is. I like you picked that I got the penalty. You picked up 2 in 1 lap. I just thought I'd hand that out. But 2 warnings. Yeah, no, it is. As long as you concentrate, and the only place I really felt like I was getting the warning was the right hander before the castle section, because you can really, you can cut that quite a bit, but it just if you take the mick a little bit, it does shoot you in the foot. I have just had a message come through that Mashiro isn't feeling great, and I don't think he's feeling well enough to actually race tonight. So that's one of the top 4 in the championship that looks like he will be missing out on a race tonight, which is really unfortunate for him. I hope he feels better soon. But yeah, like I said, they've all pretty much, 9 cars out of the 13 have done, bankers and set laps. Give it a couple more seconds, I just think they'll be out for another run. But yes, again, it's Monster Blue who's come out and set the fastest lap time so far on the banker. But Beastas with a 1:38.1, I think that's quite a good lap from him. So it looks like to me that the top 3 in the championship at the minute look like they're going to be the top 3 on the grid at the minute with the lap times they've done so far. Yeah,
and we're right on board with Rudy then. In the Williams goes a little bit deep on the exit there of turn 12, but there's again another corner where he can just sort of get away with the track limits. I don't think he would have gained any time there. What's his line then? Through turn 15, hopples over the curb. That's definitely my favourite line as well. Gets a rear out, but certainly the shortest distance. And of course, it's got to be so easy on the throttle around that. Of course, starting the last sector with turn 16, and then the 17, 18, 19 complex, and then this little right-hander here, completely flat, no trouble at all. That's turn 20, and your DRS detection zone is sort of on that bend. DRS wide open here, and of course all the way to the line for the Williams driver, who made his debut last week and came home an excellent P2 after starting, I think it's about 9th position in the Williams, but he made the most of time penalties for everyone else and had a really solid drive, and he very much deserved that podium finish. And we've got Mr. Steen coming around the last couple of corners as well, and he's got a Renault. I think this could be Wymack ahead of him, but he's a little bit far away, but who knows, he might be, or is he coming into the pit lane? He's had enough. He's not going to use that lap as banker lap, and we'll have a look at Wymack then as he's coming around, starting his second flying lap at 39.7 as a banker at the moment, which is good enough to put him into 8th place, just ahead of his teammate Craig for this evening. But yes, shame to lose Mashiro in qualifying, because we'll see if it is not feeling very well, because we obviously wish him a speedy recovery, and we hope to see him back on the grid next time out in Russia, which is a shame, because as we were saying, Scott, any of the top 4 do really have a dual championship chance. And you would say Mashiro, he was 4th in the top 4, 85 points. He was 16 points off Beastas for the championship, and you've got to say that's probably curtains. Really, he needed a good result tonight, and of course it's completely out of his hands, which is a real shame but you've got to say it is now surely looking like a 3-horse race.
Yeah, like I said, it's really unfortunate for him, but it does happen. It's happened. We've all felt, you don't know what when it's going to happen. But yeah, unfortunately for Mashira, I think unless you don't wish anything on your rivals in that way. You don't wish the bad luck. But unless Monster Blue and Beastas have a bad round, tonight, it probably is over with. But Beastas setting a 37.7 there. That's a good lap time. That is. That'd have put him probably P3, P4 last night. So that's a very, very good lap time from Beastas.
Yeah, it would have got him onto the second row, I think, let's put it that way. But Monster Blue hammering over the curb of turn 13. What's this middle sector like? He's going a tenth of a second quicker. So he could be on if he gets this last sector right. Hasn't got his teammate to give him a little bit of a tow down the home straight, so he's going to have to do it himself. He's going to have to nail the exit, and of course coming around turn 20, what's it going to be for the Mercedes driver? We saw a Mercedes driver dominate last night. CRG Gamer win from pole position. Even a late safety car meant he took the win still, and cruised to a 37.8, so it's a real contest between these two as ever, as Womack did in the previous time to a 38.7, so I think he went about a second quicker on that second run to move him up into P4, so I'm sure he'll be pretty pleased with that one. Have a look at Speed Queen, who's coming just out on the exit of turn 15 in that middle sector split. How's she doing? She's going about a quarter of a second faster, so it's looking pretty good for the 3-time champion. I think we've got Roy Boy just starting that, got a couple of cars ahead of her. It might well be Mr. Steen and I think Craig might be coming across the line to improve their time, so we'll keep an eye on them as well as they're coming across the line now. I think Mr. Steen's just starting a flying lap, but what about Craig? He improves it to a 40.0, so improves his time but not his position. Speed Queen comes across the line to improve by 4 tenths of a second and just about pip Rymac in that runner and pip onto the second row. P4 for the 3-time champion, and about 3 tenths behind Hutari, who's really been making third place his own, because this is we've had 9 races and he's got to be on for some sort of record. He just has to be. He's had 8 out of those 9 races, 6 of them have been third places. His last 5, as we see, Simple Superman getting it all wrong at turn 15. I'm sure we'll be seeing plenty of that tonight, just losing that bumping end plate. It might be, if he can get a good exit, if he's up on his delta, he might be able to get a good time anyway. But he's had 5 third places in succession. So from Abu Dhabi, Monaco, Canada, Spa and Hungary, it's all finished in third place. And right now, Scott, with the top 2 in the form that they're in, and Speed Queen about 3 tenths a second behind, he's really looking like he's making third place his own, which I'm sure he's semi-pleased with. But with Hutaru, we know he's a bit of a winner. It'd be a little bit frustrated, I'm sure, because again, a bit like Mashiro, he needs to start picking up a few wins and hoping that Beastas and Monster Blue have a couple of bad results.
He is Mr. Third Place, isn't he? He's as we were talking about today, we spoke about it a little bit. Consistency can win you championships. We're saying that Charlie, he won a championship without winning a race. I think Mr. Skizy did as well. So it happens. And third places, they're podiums, and that's what you need. You need points. You need to be consistent. With the first 2 in the sort of, they're on another level. Beastas. Monster Blue for me is the one who's in the prime seat at the minute, but Beastas has really given it to him tonight. But these 2 battling out, it's okay in qualifying, but if them 2 are going to battle, if they're as close as they are in qualifying, if they battle in the race, Hutari keep with them and stick within the DRS, and it could all change for him.
Yeah, and just looking at our front wing, Simply Superman is off an end plate on both sides, so clearly had another incident somewhere, and I'm sure he'll be coming back into the pits and has to do it sharpish, because only 3 minutes left in the session. Of course, it's quite a long lap round here. We're about 100 seconds for a flying lap. Of course, when you're on an out lap, you're probably going to take roughly maybe about the 2-minute mark. So he's going to have to be pretty speedy and have a pretty speedy out lap if he's to get out there back again. I'm sure we can just see on the menu out there on the right hand side, we've got a few cars filing out already. Hutari on an out lap, Beastas on an out lap further down, just behind him. In fact, we've got Wymack on an out lap as well, Nightshades as well, who's I think he's had a pretty steady second half of the season. Had a DNF in Hungary, which is obviously a real shame for him, but he had a couple of two fifth places back to back. So I think the second half of the season has shown a real solid progress from Nightshades in the Red Bull, who's sadly without his teammate Meg Lubby tonight, which is also a real shame for the Red Bull team. And Beastas, I think, just getting out of the way for him there, fully unsure if he was on an out lap or a flying lap. I think Rudy is he's just started, I think, his last flying lap. So have a look with him in the Williams, as everyone else is either in the pit lane or on their out lap. If they're going to get one flying run in, they need to leave the pit lane now. I think Roy Boy is just exiting the pit lane, and might have a couple of other cars move out, but they're going to have to do it quickly. But what can Rudy do? Currently sat in P8, which is roughly where he qualified in his debut. A little bit of front locking on that left hand side. That's nothing new though. I see plenty of guys doing that as we come into the castle section, and this is a critical bit as we see hop over that curb, take it to the right hand side. Got a nice line to get down the power despite a little bit of wheel spin, and then almost getting ever so close. I mean, might even hit the wall as it comes around turn 12. He's got a little bit of an eyesore of Craig in a runner ahead of him. Might even be able to pick up a little bit of a slipstream. Does Craig see him coming? Yes, he just falls to the left, so it's well out of the Williams' way. Green flag to go around turn 15. Does he hop over the curb? Yes, he does. And takes it pretty smoothly, I'd say, as well. Nice and easy on the traction. 100-metre braking board. He's going nearly half a second quicker in his middle sector, which could boost him a whole heap of positions. Could even get him up into the second row if he nails this last sector. Of course, all flat rounds here as it comes round turn 20. Got a Ferrari in the distance of Beastas, who's about to start his flying lap. Futari's started his flying lap as well. The last one, 45 seconds on the clock. But Rudy, who came second on his debut, does move up to the second row. So a fantastic lap for the Williams driver. We'll have a look on board with the AlphaTauri of Hutari, who's just finished his first sector. Didn't quite see his split time, but we are sure he's going to have 2 tenths up, so he's got to find about a half a second if he wants to get a little bit of a slide out of 7. It's so hard on the traction. Oh, and he absolutely sends it through the castle section, bouncing off that wall. He's, there we are, he's missed an end plate on that right hand side, so he's gone all for glory, and looks like it's not going to quite work out for him. Of course, they stick the lap anyway. He should be safe from cars behind. Rudy is about half a tenth behind, but he's all done unless Speedqueen or Rymac can find some time, as Hutari is now down on his lap. Monster Blue is in turn 4 coming out of. We've got a Williams of Hulkenberg. Looks like it's gone straight on at turn 2. Beastas is coming up to the end of the middle sector. It's negotiated the castle section, and he's got a full front wing. Rudy retires from the session into turn 15. Sorry, there's a Beastas sliding it out of that middle sector. Is currently on provisional pole, but he knows that Monster Blue is an absolute animal in qualifying. He's going about a tenth and a half quicker despite that little bit of a moment on the exit of turn 15. We've got Monster Blue coming up to the end of that middle sector, but it looks like he's got an Alfa Romeo right on the way of turn 15. I think it might have been Speedqueen just getting up the way in the end. But what about Beastas? He's on a 37.7 on provisional pole, coming across the line. Time is up, and he improves to a 37.5. A fantastic lap time from the Ferrari driver. What has Monster Blue got in comparison to the Ferrari driver? He's going to have to find about a 3 tenths of a second to give himself a chance. He flicks open DRS in that black Mercedes. He's been on red hot form after back-to-back wins in the last 2 races. He does not improve, so he's lost time on that final run. So it looks like it's going to be a Beastas pole as Roy Boy pips up into P3. A fantastic lap from the Racing Point driver to get himself within 3 tenths of the top 2. And Speedqueen coming into the pit lane. It looks like we've got Hulkenberger, who's about to cross the line, improves up into P10. Simply Superman has invalidated, so we'll be starting P12 and no higher. But a fantastic lap from Beastas, Scott, and ultimately a little bit under the radar, Roy Boy pipping Hutari right at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel a bit for Monster Blue. He was, well, just under 2 tenths up there, so you know, we've all made mistakes. You know, it's very difficult to get out of the way of other drivers. You know, especially when when you're on flying laps. You know, your concentration's elsewhere. You know, Speedqueen wouldn't have done that deliberately at all. But yeah, it lost him 2 tenths. You know, it could have been, it could have been nearer to Beastas. But great lap time from Beastas. Great lap time from Roy Boy. We've seen Roy Boy is so quick in qualifying. He just doesn't quite have the luck in the race. And I will give a shout out as well to Nightshades, because I think he is actually now running without racing line. So I think this will be his first race without racing line. So it's a hard track to nail, and P8. I think that's quite a solid lap from him.
Yeah, he certainly picked a tough one to learn out, because it's really hard on the braking points. In fact, turn 1 I know in particular I found very, very hard, and of course for the castle section, if you brake 4 or 5 meters too late on just any of the 26 laps these guys are about to do, then you really are going to be in for a whole world of hurt. But Beastas takes pole position, Monster Blue alongside him in P2, Roy Boy P3, Hutari P4, Rudy fantastic qualifying P5, Rymac in P6, Speed Queen, Nightshades, Mr. Steen and Hulkenberg your top 10. Craig Simp Superman will be running out in 11th and 12th, and of course Sadie Mashiro not quite feeling up to it tonight, so we will be without the AlphaTauri driver sadly without this evening, of course. So we wish him a speedy recovery, and of course the good news is, regardless of whether he's not racing or not, I think both AlphaTauri drivers it's absolutely pouring down, but I think both AlphaTauri drivers really could sit out the rest of the season. I think they'll still win the Constructors, but it looks like that is quite a heavy rain shower for these guys to negotiate in Baku. And I've got to say, Scott, rather them than me.
Yeah, no, it's this track in the wet is not the funnest, I must say. I enjoy driving in the rain, but a street track, as fast as this as well, and then you got the castle section. It's going to be very difficult. You've got barriers each side. You've got no room for runoff. This could be quite interesting. And unfortunately for Mashiro, he was the king of the rain, wasn't he? At Monaco and at was it Canada? I think it was. So unfortunately for him, he's missed out on a stomper here. But this could be interesting. It's going to be very interesting with the weather. I don't know if it's going to be a full wet race or if it sort of dries out. So that's going to be quite interesting. With the two championship protagonists on the front row and Hutari in fourth, I think we'll be in for a great race.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting. Of course, it'd be interesting to see who's gone for dry setup and really banked on a good qualifying position, and who's taking a little bit of pain in qualifying, and try to set their car up just that little bit more for these wet conditions. Of course, these guys can find out when they get to the garage on the qualifying session. They can look at the weather forecast or the predicted weather forecast for the race, and of course, it'll be interesting to see. The skies don't look too far dark. So it could be interesting. We could have a chance of it drying up. I'm not too sure. We haven't had a weather.
I have had a weather report come through. Same conditions all the way through the race.
Oh, well, that fits
so we look like we're on for a dry one. And I will just say, Rymac has said he went for a wet setup in qualifying, so he could be quite strong here in the race.
Oh, well, we'll see how that one goes for him then in P6. But of course, it will be very difficult to overtake around this circuit. It's not actually as easy as you think, or we found out on Monday night with particularly Foxy Red and Sammy Papito as a speed queen formation lap clearly all wrong, or how had contact with somebody, as she's been disqualified from the session, so she'll be starting with freezing cold intermediate tyres. But we saw on Monday night, not the easiest of tracks to overtake on, even when you have a tyre advantage between Foxy Red 2000 and Sammy Papito for the podium positions last night in the F1 League. So it will be even harder, of course, without the added boost of DRS for these guys, and it's really going to be a real survival for these guys, particularly on those early laps of just keeping it out the wall, particularly through the castle section there. And of course, I think we'll try and get Hulkenberger back in as soon as possible. Of course, they're the league race admin, so we're trying. I'm sure he'll be back in as soon as possible. And but Beastas will, of course, I'm sure, be doing his best, and he'll know that it'll be very difficult for Monster Blue to overtake him, particularly if his Ferrari is pretty slippery in a straight line. It will be mistakes that Monster Blue could well be relying on to get the job done on Beastas. But we'll see how it goes for the championship leader, who's not won since round 3.
He's lost it.
Oh dear, yeah, you're right. Monster Blue looking like a little bit of a Grosjean moment there on the exit of turn 12. I'm not sure. I think you've got a better view of. Yeah, it must have been excellent. I think you've got a better view of it than me, Scott. But is this a little bit of nerves going into the race potentially for the number 2 man in the championship?
Yeah, it's. I was on board with Beastas and I just saw Mercedes sort of dive off into the wall. So that's not what you want on the warm-up lap. You know, you want to be going into the race, you know, putting up on the grid with a bit of confidence. Yeah, that wouldn't have done him any good at all. But you know, it happens. Like I said, we all make mistakes. We've all done it. It's cold tyres. It's, you know, like I said, you know, it's not a grippy track anyway. So you know, in the wet, it's going to be very, very greasy and slippery. So it's as Hulkenberg has just rejoined, which is great. But yeah, no. So Monster Blue now, like you said, you know, the nerves will be, you know, really hitting. His heart will be beating a lot faster than Beastars. I can tell you that one for sure.
Yeah, might just take the pressure off Beastars a little bit more when you see your championship leader, or you saw your championship rival in your mirrors, just struggling that little bit on that formation lap, and want to give him the psychological advantage. It is a very short run down into turn 1, but please take it from me that that doesn't mean we won't see overtaking into turn 1. You get a bad start. Something like that. I think practice race P1 to P4, and then last night 2nd to P5. I think it was. Yeah, you're quite right. But anyway, these guys are much better off the line than me, I can assure you. And I think they're all just lining up. We're waiting on 5 red lights. As good as me, I'm getting some sort of drum roll as the red lights come on. 5 red lights are out. Nobody's moving whatsoever. Shiro has taken the lead. He's not even classified, and there we are. We do get officially the lights out and the start of the race, and it looks like it's been a very good start. Therefore, Monster Blue goes down the inside of the Ferrari. Joe's going to try and force Beastars wide. It's going to open the door for Roy Boy. Roy Boy going to try and come down the inside of the pole sitter. He takes P2. Beastars has fallen down to P3. Monster Blue leads into turn 2. Looks like Rymac is trying to get alongside one of the Williamses of Rudy's a virtual safety car already. It's that Hulkenberger who's gotten off in turn 2. He's gone down the escape road, and it's looking like it could be without a front wing as well. He's desperately trying to get that Williams back onto the racetrack. And oh, what a poor start for Hulkenberger, and retiring from the race after just 2 corners. And of course, they are a bit of a bottleneck, these first 2 corners, Scott. And well, that was pretty good evidence of it.
Yeah, they're very, very difficult corners. You know, it's yeah, they're 90-degree corners. You know, when you've got, you know, even only 12, 13 cars, it can really hamper you. But I just say, do you remember, you know, not Monster Blue, sorry, Roy Boy at Monaco, how quick he was in this, you know, in the damp conditions. So it'd be interesting to see now if he can give it to Monster Blue, which it looks like he's all over the back of him now as the VSC's ended. It's going to be very interesting to see what he can do in these sort of conditions. Yeah.
And just found out what happened to Hulkenberger. He wasn't actually in control of his car when he took it back over, which is something I think I've had the similar bug, and it's, you know, it's really harming a lot of people's experience, all these bugs. I'm sure Cody's, you'd like to think, oh, working on it, but Roy Boy's looking ever so racy at the start of this race. We know he loves the wet conditions, and look how much of these S's are being a little bit of a problem for our race lead, and look how much time Roy Boy has gained. It'd be difficult to overtake to, but he's got a chance. Even on lap 1, he might have to take it. You can offer Shiro, I assure you, he's not there, but Roy Boy is really putting the pressure on Monster Blue. It was a fantastic first lap for Monster Blue, and I'm not sure about Beastars. He's 3 seconds down. I'm not sure if he's just had a very bad safety car restart. If we can have a little look at his front wing, I'd be interested to know if he's got damage. And there it is then, the right hand side of that end plate is then Beastars has left the session, so it's not been a great shot. I'm sure if it is Internet Warriors, he'll be trying to get back in as soon as possible. As this might open the door for Hutari and Rymac, who are right down the back of that Ferrari's rear wing, and the championship leader has lost out a couple of positions. Even if he does rejoin as quick as possible, Roy Boy still at 7-8 tenths of a second behind. Rymac has got himself up into P5 as already as Rudy now takes advantage of the ghosted Ferrari. And Hutari looks like he's struggling, as you're saying. Rymac looking very racy on these early start. It's, oh no, he's just lost it halfway down the straight, and he's lost it a bit of his front wing. What a catastrophic mistake from Rymac. It's so easily done as Speed Queen's put on the wet tyres, I just noticed, which is a bit of a gamble. But we can see how much traction these guys really are missing out of. In turn 6, it looked like he got a very good exit, but it looks like halfway down the straight, it must have been in about 5th gear. Planted a throttle, mate. He might well have even gone on the overtake button, and it just shot the car right into the wall. He had no chance of saving it before contact was made, and I definitely saw a front wing end plate fly off that Renault, which is a real shame. Of course, we will be expecting these guys to pit probably around the halfway mark for a fresh set of intermediates. That's usually how it goes in these rare conditions, but look how much he's struggling in the last few corners, and this might open the door for Rudy. We know how much of he enjoys after just one race of making the most of other people's mistakes, and the Williams driver looks right on it from the start. I'm sure using all the overtake button in the world, using that little bit of slipstream, is going to pull to the right hand side of the Renault. They're going to be side by side coming down the pit straight, and Rimac decided he's not going to have that front wing for any longer. He's going to come into the pit lane.
Yeah, it's a big shame for Malc. I didn't quite see it, but I saw in the background the Renault just sort of scooting off. What a gap though from Roy Boy to Hutari, 7.2 seconds on my screen, and that is a big old gap already. Hutari yet again though in a net P3, which is exactly that's his comfortable position there. But Monster Blue and Roy Boy, it looks like Monster Blue, he's got a bit of pace on him as Monster Blue. Yeah, he's sticking around at about a 1 second mark to Roy Boy, so just catching up the ghost of Mashiro. Like I said, we know what Roy Boy's pace is like, and we know how aggressive he is on the brakes and on the throttle. You know, he locks up all the tyres, and he's sideways through the corners. So it'll be interesting to see if he can stick with the back on Monster Blue, because not many people this season have been able to challenge Monster Blue and have a full-on race with him. So very, very interesting to see if Roy Boy can do that.
Yeah, he's very much stuck to the Mercedes code, which has been get the pole position, and if you're leading into turn one, drive away with it. That's been very much the story of most of his 4 race wins this season, and he's hunting for a 5th. But Roy Boy, who's not stepped foot on the podium this season, which is a bit of a shock after 3 4th places he's got since Abu Dhabi onwards, and he's been always in the hunt for a podium. It seems so many times. He's always had the pace. And he now does move through that ghosted AlphaTauri of Mashiro and gets himself up into P2. And so I'm not sure we're all hoping for a change in fortunes for Roy Boy, but I don't want to jinx it even on lap 3. But you're now 9 seconds clear of Hutari, who is effectively 3rd. So it's looking good for Roy Boy for a podium at least, providing of course he can keep out the dreaded walls of Azerbaijan. And we've got some got some battles as well. Looks like Simply Superman is pitting Nightshades under a bit of pressure. As this little trio of cars, Rudy, Nightshades, Simply Superman, are in a good tandem, and they're not too far away from Hutari as well. He's struggling a little bit compared to our race leaders, 8.6 seconds back. And we'll have a little look. Has the AlphaTauri got any damage? He has. He's on that left-hand side of his front wing. He's missing an end plate. So again, even the top drivers are really struggling around this Baku track in the wet weather. And Beastas, I saw his car come into the pit lane. I haven't seen him join back, so this is very much a disaster so far in round 10 for the championship leader. It's looking like it's all Monster Blue gains in Baku for him. Of course, only 2 rounds left after this. We will head to Russia for round 11 next Tuesday, and Vietnam in just a fortnight's time for what will be the championship decider. Most likely Hutari, despite the damage, is holding on to his own. He's got a second gap to Rudy, but and of course they have a bit of a decision to make. If he can feel like he can getting all sorts of poor traction out of turn 7. Looks like he's going to go hit the wall on the right, hit the wall on the left, somehow kept it facing the right direction, and then get it turned into the castle section. But he's going to have a bit of a decision on his hands here. Scott, see more and more drivers coming into the pits for wet tyres. If even though he's losing clearly a lot of time with that front wing damage, if he feels he can hold off the likes of Rudy and Nightshades and Simply Superman even with it, you've got to say, is it worth changing it? Even if you're losing time, it's not really worth losing the positions, because it won't be easy to get them back.
No, I don't think it would be. No, I think if he's comfortable, and he can sort of sit and get into a groove, then no, I'd stay out as long as possible. I have noticed Roy Boy gains about 3.5 tenths on Monster Blue through the last sort of chicane section. He is very nearly flat out through there, and he's opposite lock nearly every time he goes through it. Monster Blue's obviously taking it a little bit more sort of calm and relaxed, whereas Roy Boy is absolutely throwing it through. The gap has gone up to about 1.8 seconds. Monster Blue's lapping about 3 or 4 tenths of that quicker than Roy Boy at the minute, but Roy Boy did make a couple of mistakes in that last lap, so I think he's got the pace. I think Roy Boy has got the pace to push Monster Blue. It's just trying to be a bit consistent and just sort of drive a little bit more within the white lines.
Yeah, and I think we just had Craig and Mr. Steen swapping positions here as Womack's coming to the pits again. What's this? Might be for a front wing change or something for the Renault driver. We'll have a little look as Craig and Mr. Steen tear past on the home straight. It's not been a great race for the F1 drivers. Coming off what's that intermediates. Oh, have we got something happening, Scott?
Roy Boy just not only clipped the wall on the left, then absolutely rammed into the side of the right hand side of the wall at the castle section. Can't see at the minute if he's got any wing damage. It doesn't look like he has. He's lost an end plate here on the left hand side, so that's going to really hamper him now. So he's lost 2 seconds to Monster Blue on this lap. It's not been a good lap for Roy Boy. As I said, he was pushing so hard. Yeah, he needs to pit. He can't stop there. Oh, it's a big shame because I thought he'd have the pace to really sort of cling on to the back of Monster Blue.
Yeah, it's a real shame for the Racing Point driver. He's driven so well so far, but he's still got plenty of time. He's still got about a 10-second gap to Hutari in, well, what is effectively third position. It's looking like he might already be making an early line into the pits, and indeed it does, but it cost him 6-7 seconds on Monster Blue, sadly, after being about 2 seconds behind the Mercedes driver. It's certainly given Monster Blue an easier run to the flag than he would have thought. We'll have a look at the ongoing battle between this little I say trio of cars, it's actually a quartet of cars, isn't it? We've got Hutari, Nightshades, Rudy, Simply Superman, all in tandem. We've got a yellow flag in the second sector. I think this might be Mrs. Steen. And these guys who are on the wet tyres really struggling as just had a crunch from Renault as well. I think this is Rimac, has got a front wing intact just about, so he must have hit it sort of sideways on. So I think he's got away one there, or Rimac. So, but yeah, I think he's already made 3 pit stops, I think, so far, right? So just take it easy out there. But he's in P11, of course. I'm sure at this point, just using it for a little bit of practice in case it's raining. Of course, he races on our Thursday night league of realistic performance, so I'm sure he's just trying to get a little bit of extra laps in around this Baku circuit and just try and get used to it. So he's not had too much time to practice, though. Sadly, it's not been sort of a week's worth of races to remember so far for Rimac, but I'm sure if you're going for better luck on Thursday night, which of course you can find live on YouTube 8 PM, brought to you as always by Malc and Tim. Relative Performance League has really been there, baby, and of course it is the reverse grid this week, so those who did well in Hungaroring will be finding themselves starting right at the back, and those who had a tough race, well, they'll be finding a little bit further up, so they've got a second chance, should we say. So it really does bring some great racing, and around a chaotic track like Baku, it really is worth tuning into. But right about now, we've got Rudy, who looks like he's got as close to Hutari as he's been, and he's kept it pretty clean so far, has the new boy, should we say, of the F2 League, and he's about 6 seconds behind. He's going to struggle to get moved done. Of course, you don't have DRS in these wet conditions, and Nightshades as well, half a second behind. We know how much he loves the old overtake button, so thankfully for him, it is a circuit which is pretty kind on battery around here, so he can recharge it a little bit. Rudy's looking like he's got about 50-60% worth of battery left. But this could be just maybe trying to play the game of being a bit patient, Rudy, because if he's got a full front wing, like I said, we expect most of these guys to make a pit stop eventually. If Hutari changes his front wing, great, he'll get the position anyway. But if he doesn't change his front wing, if you do 1 lap longer, 2 laps longer, or 1 lap less, try and undercut him, then surely the position for Rudy's clearly there, because it looks like Hutari's just beginning to struggle that little bit more the last couple of laps.
Yeah, I think he has. Yeah, you know, I've been on board with Rudy on last lap, and he's got so much more grip than Hutari. You can see the turn in, the difference is just phenomenal. So, yeah, like you said, Rudy just got to be calm. He knows where he's going to be quicker than him. And again, another big shout out to Nightshades yet again for you know, no racing line, first time at Azerbaijan, and it's wet. You know, and he's at the minute in a well, actually a P4, isn't he? Technically, so absolutely great drive from him. He's sticking with the back of these 2 guys here. But yeah, Hutari's a bit of a cork in the bottle at the minute, but he's done well. I think Hutari's done very, very well to, you know, stick where he is. You know, we all know what it's like when you miss an end plate, how much time you drop. You found that out on the last lap yesterday, how it feels to not have an end plate. But you had your number 2 driver and nearly pipped you at the line. But
But
But no, yeah, I think I did, yeah. But no, Hutari has done very well, so yeah, hats off to him. Rudy, I hope Rudy just keeps his head, doesn't get too impatient. We've got a couple of impatient drivers, haven't we, on a Monday night, so hopefully he can show them exactly how it's done. As we've seen Mr. Steen's now retired from the season.
Yeah, in the pit lane comes Mr. Steen, and of course wasn't due to be racing. I think just using it a little bit of practice and helping the league out. Of course, we have got a few drivers absent this week. But we've got Nightshades and Rudy going side by side down the pit straight. What can Nightshades do? He's going to break late, going to try and go around the outside. Is the Red Bull driver? He's going to do well to keep it out, but he's still just by there. Looks like Rudy's got a little bit of a better drive out of turn 1. Nightshades is still there. He's going to try and hang around the outside of turn 2. Rudy's respectful and leaves the space, and they're going to be side by side coming into turn 3. Nightshades ducks back into the slipstream. I'm sure he's using the battery as he always loves to do. He's going to switch to the inside for turn 3. Does he send it? He thinks better of it. Allows Simply Superman to close up just that little bit more as well. So great racing between these two, fair and calm. But yeah, sadly, Mr. Steen now out of the race, and we thank you very much for coming in and helping the league out. We've quite a few drivers missing this evening, so we thank him very much, and of course wish him good luck. You can watch him in F3 tomorrow night live on YouTube as always, and I think it is Rymac and Jakob will bring you that one, which of course you can find on our YouTube channel. Oh, as Rudy clatters the wall on the exit of turn 7, looks like he just got it all wrong, and I think he's got away with it. I can't see any visual damage at least on that front wing. Of course, you can pick up that horrible, then losing it massively on the exit at turn 12, slithering away out of that exit, but he's got away with it. Looks like Nightshades has dropped back a bit this lap, so it's not been a great lap after originally attacking Rudy at the start of lap 8. He's now coming into pressure by the end of it. You can see how much time Roy Boy's gaining on this little squadron of cars after making an earlier pit stop. So we could see him try and pick his way through, or of course is he patient and wait for them to come into the pits. But of course Nightshades might have to be a little bit careful here. We'll have a look on wide on board. He's using battery. He's still got a little bit of battery left to be fair to him, so he should be okay. Utaro is just about to go through his ghosted teammate, but Nightshades is going to come into the pit lane, so I'm wondering, has he got a front wing damage or something, or is he just trying to play it smart with the undercar? I can see a front wing ready at the front jack, and there he is. The number 9 Red Bull is going to have a front wing nose change, so he might have done it on that lap potentially when trying to go for a move on the Williams driver, so it's going to drop him down to 7th position, well actually 6th position, because Mashiro won't be classified, as Rudy now is about to go through the ghosted car of the AlphaTauri driver, and we will see how he can do in terms of trying to catch up to the back of Hutari again and pit him on increasing pressure. Of course, only lap 9 of 26 for these guys, and Simply Superman as well has kept himself in conversation for the hunt of a podium, despite being a little bit slower potentially than the likes of Rudy and Nightshade. But of course that front wing change from Nightshade is pretty critical, but of course he's 21.4 seconds behind, so he's going to have to use these laps on fresher intermediates to really try and close up that gap and really try and reduce the damage of changing his front wing, which will probably cost him about another, I think probably about 10 seconds roughly, maybe a little bit less. So he's definitely got some work to do. So saying it'd be a little bit of a strategic call for Hutari if he wants to follow in that direction, or changing the front wing and risk losing track position on the cars behind him. But we'll have to see how that one goes. Rudy had a little bit of a moment on the exit of turn 7, but from our view at least, he might have got away with at least severe front wing damage. Of course, you can get that horrible light greeny. As he then also clatters the wall right at the exit. I think that's turn 19. Has he got missed an end plate this time? I think he might be. He's making a line for the pit lane, and it does come into pit lane. I think that's that front left side of that front wing. So they're all at it, and of course that's the corner, which we were saying, Scott. Actually, if you're not quite concentrating, and this is in the dry as well, that corner is actually a little bit of a problem, as Roy Boy's got past Simply Superman. If you're not quite concentrating in the dry, that corner can be an issue. And you'd imagine in the rain, as we saw in the first lap, almost catching Monster Blue out, that little final slalom mess of turns 18 and 19, catching a couple of drivers out.
Yeah, we said, didn't we, before last night's race, it's deadly. If you're not concentrating, As soon as you turn into that quick part of the right-hander, that wall comes very, very close, very quickly as well. So a lot of drivers tonight are having that out. I forgot to say, Nightshades, when Rudy tapped the wall a couple of laps ago, Nightshades followed him into the wall. That's where the wing damage comes from Nightshades. He just sort of thought he'd follow the line and see what happens. It's a bit spread out now. Looking at the times, looking at the deltas, it's very spread out. Monster Blue a 23.5 second gap. That's phenomenal. But obviously, B-Stas and Roy Boy have had their problems. Yeah. But you never know what's going to happen. Especially when you've got a wet race. You've still got 16, 17 laps left to go. Safety cars could happen. It's going to be interesting. Rudy we know has got good pace. Nightshade we know has got good pace. Simply Superman's doing well. We just wanted to bunch up a little bit, so we've got something to commentate on at the minute. But it's very difficult in these sort of conditions. You don't really want to be following a car in these sort of conditions with all the spray, etc. And this sort of track as well. They're actually probably enjoying it more, being on the road and driving around with no spray in their face.
Yeah, definitely. We saw Ryan chesting his luck in the castle sections. Hotari making a pit stop from a provisional second place. Of course, was a net third place as Roy Boy was and regains second place, and it is going to be front wing change then for Hotari. So this could be a provisional third place for Simply Superman when it comes in for his pit stop, and we've got a very slow stop here going on. I think it's actually just a bug, as common as that is. And where's Nightshade's going to come out then? Oh, we've got someone going off. Is that who's that then? Is that Rudy going completely misjudged his braking point at turn 1, went straight on? It looked like he could be on to get past Hutari, perhaps just focusing on the AlphaTauri coming out the pit lane, and just went straight on at turn 1 and did well to keep it out of the barriers, that's for sure. But he's got a half a second gap to Hotari. Nightshades has indeed made up for that front wing change, has come out P5 ahead of Hutari, and it's in Simply Superman's hands in the plan. As you're saying, he's not quite been there in terms of the pace of potentially Rudy and Nightshades. They've looked at least to have a little bit more confidence, a little bit more grip in the wet conditions, but he's been the one to keep it out the barriers of the 4 cars, and he could well be paying a good price for that, and is currently third place. And I'm sure if he wants to go to the halfway point before changing tyres, then he's going to want to do a couple more laps yet, and we'll see how the McLaren driver does, and we'll see what can Rudy do. I'm sure Hutari will be very grateful to have a full front wing again. I'm sure he won't be reveling in the sudden front end grip of the AlphaTauri. I also saw Speed Queen a lap or two ago come in for a new set of intermediates. She was a driver who was really sort of putting all her eggs in one basket of those wet tyres working out for her on Alfa Romeo, but it just wasn't really working, and she's come in for a fresh set of intermediates, which I'm sure she'll be trying to eke out to the end, and I'm sure she'll be looking for a safety car as Speed Queen picks up a 3-second time penalty for her trouble. So it's not been a good race for the 3-time champion. She is currently in P10 of the 11 runners. Craig 14 seconds further back in the second Renault. Brian Mack is inside the points of P9. B-Stas, I don't believe we've seen him rejoin since his earlier internet trouble. It's a real shame. He's getting all out of shape in turn 1 again. There's not been a kind corner to him so far this evening, getting all out of shape on the exit of turn 1. This of course comes down this little straight into turn 3, and 1.1 second gap, 1 second gap, and I think Hutari has just closed down that gap a little bit to Nightshades in the Red Bull for P4, and I think it was about 3 seconds when it came out of his box, so he's looking like he has found a little bit more grip, a little bit more confidence in a full front wing. Of course, he has still got to do about 15 laps without having to change it again, so of course that will be, as we're saying, it is going to be a survival race. Rudy is really struggling for traction, and I'm definitely getting flashbacks of last night with myself on the hard tyres. Really struggled to get traction out of some of these corners. In a Williams, it's so close through turn 9, getting awfully close to that right hand wall in the castle section, but his front wing is going to live to survive another day. But it has meant Rudy's caught up just that little bit, but he is definitely catching on Nightshades. He's come down now to 1.8.
But yes, yeah, Hutari looks like he's feels a lot more comfortable, like he said. Now he's got a full front wing. I'm just looking at the gap. I know it's a big gap, but I'm looking at the gap between Monster Blue and Roy Boy. Monster Blue was 26 seconds in front a couple of laps ago. It's now down to 23.7 now. Obviously, we know Monster Blue's still pit, and we know Roy Boy lost a bit of time obviously having to change his front wing, but quite interesting. I can't remember how many seconds it is. About 18 seconds you lose, 17 seconds you lose in a pit stop. But you know, the gap's definitely dropping down. I don't know whether or not, I don't know if Monster Blue maybe, you know, his tyres are going off quite quickly, or if he has any wing damage or anything. But yeah, the gap's. Oh, Rudy nearly loses it out of turn one there. Turn one, he's the exit curve on that turn one. As we said the other night, it's very difficult if you get on there, especially in the wet. But yeah, that time's dropped another second from Monster Blue to Roy Boy. So not too sure. Like I said, I'm having a look. I can't see if he's got any wing damage at all. But it looks like, you know, he's gained 3.5 seconds on him. Monster Blue's bumpers bumpers, end plates are fine. You know, the wings are still intact. So, but obviously we know Roy Boy has got a fresh set of intermediates on, or freshest set of intermediates on, should I say, for Monster Blue. But the gap's definitely dropping quite a bit. So it'd be interesting to see what it's like when Monster Blue comes out.
Yeah, it certainly will be. And of course, there's your stops then. Wymack is coming out of the pit lane. Coming out of his third stop, and he's going to come out around about his teammate. In fact, it's going to be very close between the two Scotsmen. We saw them, two of them go side by side down the pit straight before Craig came into the box for his pit stop. And we've got a little bit of action between the two Renault boys then. And it's like Monster Blue is coming in for his pit stop then. Is one and only stop, as long as he has a safe passage to the flag. And Roy Boy is coming across the start-finish line now. So yeah, he's done well to recover some of that gap, which of course he would have lost when changing that front wing. As I said, it would probably cost somewhere between 7 to 10 seconds changing that front wing. And they've got a yellow flag somewhere. And there's this, oh dear, what's happened to Simply Superman? He's going particularly slowly, going down the pit straight, comes into the pit lane. He's got a front wing missing, going unbelievably slowly. Has he got a puncher? He's got a rear right puncher. So it's obviously been, I hope he's completely clattered the wall somewhere, or just through sheer tyre wear. Then McLaren driver's had a puncher, which is a real shame for the McLaren driver, because as we were saying, if he can keep out the 4 cars he's racing with, he kept it clean and looking after that front wing, and now out of nowhere, when he was about to inherit potentially a podium position, he's now dropped to effectively 6th place behind Rudy, behind Hutari, behind Nightshades, and by quite a long way. So that's desperately unlucky for the McLaren driver.
Yeah, it is. That's really unlucky for him. You know, I've had it before in intermediates a couple of seasons ago at Monza, I think it was. You know, the intermediates do wear quite quickly. Got a punch on the last lap and threw it in the gravel and lost out on the podium. But yeah, no, that is a shame for Simple Superman. He was driving really well, I think, and like you said, you know, he was on for it could have been a decent podium position for him. He's shown really good pace tonight. Actually, he seemed pretty confident in this sort of damp, sort of intermediate condition. So it's a shame he's dropped nearly 9 seconds back as well to Rudy. So he's got a lot of time to make up, which is really unfortunate for him. But you know, he's still got a bit of a battle going on between you know, the Hutari and Nightshade. Hutari, you know, the gap is definitely dropping. Like as you said, you know, he seems a lot more confident now. You know, now that his wing's been changed. You know, can he take the fight to Nightshades and get that so solid 3rd place that he loves getting?
Yeah, and well, a good battle for the final point between the two teammates, the two Scotsmen of Craig and Rymac. They're a couple of tiers apart. Craig racing on the Wednesday night of F3, and very solid in F3, of course, winning the championship last time out. I just commentate on him last season. And even if it hasn't gone all his own way, and Rymac very trigger happy on the overtake, but he's going to try and send it into turn 7. Craig, not having any of it, completely shuts the door, and Rymac somehow manages to not spin around his teammate. So these two not giving a quarter of an inch between them, and yeah, the two Scotsmen fighting for that final point. A couple of tiers between them. Rymac in F1, of course, after winning F3 and F2 championships, and of course he races on a Thursday night. He races in the Xbox League as well. So he's doing a lot of racing here. S Invictus, he's a very popular guy in the community, and of course I'm sure he'll be looking to try and improve as he's just struggling so desperately so much with turning through that last couple of corners in the last sector, and Craig just got away a little bit from him as Hutari's got it down to about a second between himself and Nightshades, and sort of Mossy coming into the pit, so he's now got 8 lap better tyres off than Void Boy, and I would expect with much better tyres to see that gap potentially start to extend again. Void Boy might have to look after them. If we saw a puncher from the McLaren or Simply Superman after just 40 laps on the intermediates, then he might have to look after them. Of course, it could have been collision started that puncher from the McLaren driver. Sadly, we didn't see it, and you've asked lap of the way then possibly a 153.2, so he's going for maximum points here in Azerbaijan. And Nightshades, his first race without racing line in the pouring rain at Baku, so he's a very brave man, but as it stands, he's in the podium positions and he's going well, Scott.
He is indeed, no, Nightshades is doing well. You know, like we said, Hutari's gained another sort of 6-7 tenths on him on his last lap. But going back to the two Renaults, you can't have a more fiery battle of two angry Scotsmen, can you? And it's wet as well, and it looks like Rymac's got a better run now as he goes up the inside of Craig, and this time Craig has to yield. He doesn't want to though, they're still side by side. Good move there from Rymac, makes it stick. But we know what Craig's like, we know how he can race in the, in the F3 League. We know he doesn't give up easily, and I'm sure he'll send it first class up the inside when Net's got the chance. But going back to Nightshades and Hutari, the gap has gone right down to 0.2 of a second, so even Nightshades made a mistake there. That was very, very close there for Nightshades. That was well held, that man, as I say, but Hutari looks a lot more comfortable, a lot more quicker as well. So can Nightshades hold on? No, he's still got about 10.5 laps to go as he nearly hits the wall there on the exit. Hutari's got a good run, he's not going to send it, surely. No, he thinks better of it. But no, it's a great drive from Nightshades, great drive from Hutari as well. And again, Nightshades, we said this before, the traction on this track, whether it's wet or dry, is so difficult to get the throttle down. And we know Nightshades doesn't use any assists either. I know Hutari doesn't use traction control, so it is difficult, but Rudy is now climbed right onto the back of these two as well, so he's come up, caught them back up again, and it looks like now we've got a three-way battle for the last podium position.
Well, I think I know why. It's Void Boy's pitting again. I think good news for him is I think he's going to be well clear even so I think it's actually a good decision actually from the Racing Point driver, get some fresh intermediates on and try and get that fastest lap back. But I can see why Nightshade is struggling so much. He's missing a front wing end plate on that front right hand side. It's the Red Bull driver, which explains why he's going wide into a lot of these corners, and it's just so it's going to be a real tough race to manage. He's got 10 racing laps. Is he going to come to the pit? No, he's just trying to break a little bit of the slipstream, but he's using a little bit of battery as well to look after his position of third place right now. I don't think any of these guys have a time penalty, I believe. I think the only driver with a time penalty that I've seen, I think might actually just be Speed Queen. I think Rudy potentially, I'm not too sure, I might have to double check on that one later on. But even with damage, it won't be easy for Hutari to get through. There's a lot of locking up going on from this Red Bull driver. He's got to just try and call his rear intermediates down after almost sliding his way through an entire lap of Azerbaijan. A little bit of a squirm there on the exit, a turn 4 as well. But the podium is still in your hands, Nightshades. Just try and get those rear intermediate tyres working for you. And of course, there's a damage limitation with your front wing, but Hutari is going to have to make something happen. He's going to have to force a Red Bull driver into a mistake. He won't have DRS down the pit straight. And Red Bull, although he was using a lot of battery down that home straight, did look pretty slippery in a straight line. He's got very close to the wall. All these guys are going to super close to the wall, but it's going to be ever so close to call. Can't call out Rudy either, who's just about keeping with these guys, about a second further back behind Hutari, and who's saying Hutari missed the third place going into this one. It's, like I said, surely would be a record. He's got 5 in a row of third places. He's got 6 for the season. He's going for 6 third places in a row. It's 7th in 10 races it would be, which in terms of consistency is just ridiculous. But he's got a little bit of work to do as yet. He's 4 tenths of a second behind, 3 tenths of a second behind. But as we say, this S does become a real trouble in the wet conditions. The with damage front wing, I'd say Nightshades has held it pretty firmly well round there. But how much battery has he got to defend? You can see the AlphaTauri just getting ever so close to 0.2 of a second. Looks like Nightshade is going to try and hug the inside line. He's going to open it back up again. Where does Hutari go? Wants to go around the outside into turn 1. As it looks like they've made contact. Hutari is going to just try and hang it around there. Nightshade has still got the inside line. Hutari's got a nose ahead going into turn 2, and then he's just about to leave space. Almost tag wheels again. Nightshade's losing it on traction. Hutari's got the place. What about Rudy in the Williams? He's got a full front wing, so he's got much better grip. I'm sure he's much better rear intermediate tyres as well. He's going to try and go around the outside of turn 3. Nightshade's going to try and hang it out. Rudy still just about there. He's got more downforce on that front end. Got the better traction down the inside of turn 4. Job done. It's a noble defence from Nightshades. Falls down to P5, but in the end, I think that front wing has just cost him so dearly, and Hutari moves up into his natural habitat of 3rd position. And I think Rudy did well there, using his racing instinct to follow him through and just relegate Nightshades down to 5th.
Yeah, I think that was really good driving. They all three of them there, gave a lot of, enough room. There was a lot of respect there. You can see, Nightshades could have, forced Hutari out wide a little bit into turn 1 and turn 2. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3. I'm not too sure what's happened. One of the Renaults is not too sure what's happened there. But going through, obviously, like some penalties. I have had a quick look. No one else has got a penalty. The only person that's actually got 2 warnings is Monster Blue. So that no one else is on any warnings or any penalties. Apart from Speed Queen, and Monster Blue has 2 warnings.
Okay, well. And there's all your gaps to your leader, and it's been if ever there's been a dominant race, well, boys picks up fastest lap, so he's trying to cut into that lead a little bit, but he's got 25 seconds to go with about 7 laps to go in this one. But Monster Blue, 42 seconds ahead of 3rd place. He's been unbelievable this evening, and of course got the benefit of taking the lead into turn 1 off Beastas. He got a fantastic start down the inside of turn 1. And hasn't looked in doubt since. Roy Boy put him under a little pressure, particularly at the end of the 1st lap. But ever since then, Monster Blue has been absolutely stunning, and he's looking to take not just a 3rd win in succession, a 5th win of the season, and it will be the championship lead with just 2 races to go. So Monster Blue is having an absolutely storming evening, but of course all that is with touch wood. Still plenty of racing to come from this one, and a little bit of a spread out field. It is still, I think, Rudy and Hutari are the 2 closest cars on track, and Craig came in for a fresh set of intermediates who saw at the end of that lap. I think that was for what the yellow flag was for. I think he let through Monster Blue to let him go a lap down, and then followed his way into the pit stop for a new set of intermediates. And these guys just going to have to try and drive it home. If you're Hutari, I'm sure you're very pleased with a 3rd place. I think realistically, that's the best that you can do when Monster Blue has driven the race that he has. Roy Boy has once again shown the pace that he has in the rain, and it would be, of course, a 1st podium of the season for the Racing Point driver. Hutari's had plenty of podiums, and he's going for another. And Rudy's going to try and make it 2 podiums out of 2 in his first 2 races, which is an unbelievable start to his Invictus career in the Williams. But he's going to have to make the move done on Hutari, which of course is no easy feat, and he's about a second behind the AlphaTauri driver, but he's not letting him go, as the Mercedes has started his 20th lap out of 26, and these guys following suit as well. But Swoody and Hutari, Scott, the 2 closest on track. Also, Hutari knows certainly missed the podium this season. His consistency has been remarkable. But Rudy, we saw how well he did cutting his way through the traffic, making the most of time penalties and mistakes of us in Hungary. But he's really put on a real display, hasn't he, his first 2 races, and he's really got a good look about him as not just a very fast driver, but one who's got a lot of thought and a calmness amongst his racing style.
Yeah, he's come straight in, and excuse me, coming into sort of any race, any league, it is a bit nerve-wracking. You don't know any of the drivers. You want to be a bit cautious, and you don't want to cause enemies in your first season, should we say? But he comes straight in, and he was consistent. He was quick, and he got a podium. And even tonight, he's showing that he has the pace of Hutari, who is, a well-known podium sitter in this league. So I think he's done really, really well. You know, if he'd have started at the beginning of the season and showed this pace all the way through, he could be sort of, you know, he could be part of that top 4/top 5 for the championship. So, yeah, it's great to see. You know, and if he's thinking of carrying on next season, which I hope he is, then I wouldn't put it past him for him to be a title contender, if I'm being honest.
No, I think he's got a real chance of a full, when he has the chance of doing a full season here at Invictus, hopefully next season. And Hutari a little bit out of shape there on the exit turn 15 into turn 16, which is effectively, well, at least in the dry, this is probably the main last corner. Your exit here really does matter, because in the dry course, this little S section is completely flat. So your speed out of turn 16 really matters, because you'll be carrying that speed all the way down into turn 1. But of course 18 and 19, that S is a little bit more tricky in the wet conditions, and it certainly claimed a few victims as Nightshades with a downstrong wing has fallen about 7.5 seconds back from this pair, and he's going to fall into the clutches of Simply Superman, who's got 5 lap better tyres on those intermediate standard Red Bull drives. So there could be more pain for Nightshades just yet, which would be a real shame. It's going so well, but of course it's his first race of out-racing line, which should always be applauded. Of course, mid-season as well, not taking the excuse of waiting till the end of the season. He decided, no, I'm ready, and I'm going to do it tonight on a very difficult street circuit in the rain. So we'll see how he can do, and of course that 5th position would be equaling his best result of the season. He's got a couple already to his name this season, and as I said, he's really shown a massive improvement in the second half of the season. He's not just in terms of his results, in terms of his pace, and certainly in terms of his racecraft, and yeah, he's done a really good job. He didn't get what he felt he probably would have deserved in Hungary. He got a DNF last time out, but since the halfway stage he's had 2 5th places and a DNF, and is on the way to another 5th place in third 5th place in 4 races. So it's good solid progress from Nightshade, but as we say, he's going to have to defend from the McLaren of Simply Superman to hold on to it, as we are on lap 22 of 26 is the race leader of Monster Blue. Roy Boy 26.2 seconds further down the road. Hotari is just trying to hang on to a 6th podium in succession, and it looks like he's made a bit of a meal at that turn 15, Scott.
Yeah, he made a big meal out of that. It's nearly lost it, and on this lap Rudy has really gained about 4 or 5 tenths from him. So as they come through this last chicane, like you said, it's a very difficult chicane. Got a yellow flag in sector 3. I think that's another Renault in the pits. That's Craig in the pits because he retired from the session. You know, Rudy is now the closest he's been to Hutari probably in the last sort of 6 or 7 laps. So he's got a 4 lap or 5 laps to go. You know, we know how consistent he's been through these last, this race and the last race he's done. Can he knock the Mr. Third place off of the podium? That is the question. Can he get a double to podium? It'd be great to see him do it, but obviously Hutari, he still is in, mathematically in with a chance of the championship. So he needs that 3rd position.
Yeah, and of course with Beastas down in 9th place, of course. We'll have to check if he's joined back. I don't think he's joined back in the session, so it wouldn't actually be classified. So it would be a massive help to gaining on Beastas. Of course, he's going to be losing even more points to Monster Blue. He's 12 points behind Monster Blue, and of course he'll be losing a further 5 to the Mercedes driver should the Mercedes driver take the victory and him hold on to another 3rd place. But we'll see how that one goes. There's I've got a yellow flag. Is this Rymac having a little bit of a moment?
I thought it was Craig's car come out of the pits, I think.
Oh, yeah, I think you're quite right. I saw Rymac going into the pit lane, 5 seconds speeding in the pit lane, and retiring from the session. But of course, we've got to say a big thank you to Rymac and Craig. These guys, of course, not usually racing on a Tuesday night. These guys filled in as we had quite a few absences from the league this evening. These guys taking time out of their day to race on a pretty horrid street circuit in the rain. And yeah, a big thank you to the pair of them, and of course Mr. Steen as well. And Nightshades has lost it in the middle sector, and a safety car for poor old Rymac and Craig, who have just retired not 2 minutes ago before a safety car, which has absolutely been what they've been dreaming of for the entire 23 laps, is Speed Queen, who I'm sure was also dreaming of a safety car. Now gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under safety cars. So
was going to say, I must say, this Hutari's done exactly what I'd have done. He's just jumped into the pits. He's going to be on a fresh set of tyres. No, I know it's going to be difficult to overtake, but he's going to come out, I think, just maybe a nip out in front of Simply Superman. I'm not too sure. He should do just. I think Simply Superman's pitted as well. But, the safety car coming out now. Monster Blue and Roy Boy are still on the older car. They probably will get a chance to sort of probably come around and pit before them. And not losing much time, but this could be very interesting now because Roy Boy has been setting sort of around about the same lap times as Monster Blue, so I think that could be quite interesting. Rudy Hutari now, that could be interesting as well because Hutari looks like he's going to be on a fresh set of intermediate. Didn't we have this last week where the safety car came out of about 3 laps to go and it was an absolute carnage sort of last couple of laps?
Yeah, you quite right did, and yes, I am getting flashbacks, and I think Foxy Red is too. A safety car coming out with just a couple of laps to go, and Monster Blue getting the same treatment of CRG Gamer last night in the F1 League after dominating, cruising to a victory. He's going to have to defend for his life with probably a couple of racing laps to go. Is he going to come into the pit lane? Yes, he does. He's going to come in for a fresh set of intermediates. Is the Mercedes driver. And I expect we'll see the racing point of Roy Boy, Rudy, and probably the rest of the field, in truth, come into the pit lane as well. Mashira and Beastas are not driving their car, so they won't be classified in the race results. So it is Speed Queen, who is effectively a 6-car race, with Speed Queen ahead of those two. Monster Blue leading, Roy Boy, Rudy, Hotari, Simple Superman, Mashiro, and Speed Queen. Sorry, Mashiro, not as Roy Boy getting very late on the brakes, and of course avoid a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane at all costs. So we'll have a look at Rudy, and of course Hutari pitted immediately as the safety car came out. Rudy, on the other hand, has he's made a late call, and he's going to leave me there bated breath because I wasn't quite sure if he's going to come in, but there we are. He's come into the pit lane. Hutari is coming down the pit straight now, so you'd imagine he will take that third place back. But as you're saying, it's going to be a real great battle, particularly, as you quite rightly pointed out, between Roy Boy and Monster Blue, because Roy Boy, on 1 lap pace, has shown that he is more or less there or thereabouts to Monster Blue. He just hasn't quite had the consistency of the Mercedes driver, but Monster Blue, after feeling he deserves probably the race win, after absolutely dominating the entire field this evening, is going to be made to work for it even more. But of course, when you've got your main championship rival effectively out of the points, you've got Mashiro out through illness, and you've got Hutari behind you, you don't want to fight too much for this win, because as you say, the championship will be in his hands at the end of this race if he can keep hold of it.
It will indeed, yeah, and Hutari will be hoping, with his fingers crossed and toes crossed, that Roy Boy does put Monster Blue under some pressure. Because just remember, Monster Blue has got 2 warnings, so he's got to be very, very careful. But it's going to be, I should think, they might even finish under the safety car this way, because not all the cars are going to be able to catch up here, I don't think, because we've got safety cars coming through. What's that turn? Oh, it's coming in this laps, and oh well.
Wow.
Okay, so it's literally going to be a battle between Monster Blue and Roy Boy, it looks like, for the win. And apart from that, I think, well,
that's good safety
no
car,
comment. That's all I'm saying. No comment.
Yeah, well, at least we might get a head-to-head. I think effectively, I don't think Hutari is going to catch up, which is I'm sure a bit of a shame for Rudy. I think he'd be wishing he stayed out now, but he's 2.6 seconds behind, and in fact, Monster Blue, he's got a bit of a gap to Hutari. He doesn't want to give the racing point a slipstream, but what he's going to do is give Hutari, if they absolutely gun it to the line, they could catch up. This is a different race in itself. Monster Blue is going to leave it as late as possible to make sure Roy Boy doesn't get a slipstream, but they're catching up. Hutari and Rudy have absolutely planted it at the full safety car, and Monster Blue has gone then. And let's have a look. There's Hutari and Rudy, so they have caught up. So we have got at least a little bit of a 4-car battle to the line with 2 racing laps to go. Then it will be difficult to overtake, but who has got it? Of basically no fuel left in his cars as Rudy goes wide at turn 1 just a little bit, but it's going to be a 4-car race for the win, and of course for the podiums. And these 4 have been magnificent, always in their own right. But Monster Blue is tearing away 8 tenths of a second ahead of the Racing Point. Look at Rudy and look at Hutari. Hutari has missed the podium. He's going to squeeze the Williams into turn 3, and just about Rudy gets out of the way, and Hutari was not going to let him through there. And a little bit late, a little bit on the limit from the AlphaTauri driver. Williams does well to avoid it. Struggling with traction still is Rudy, despite a brand new set of intermediate tyres. A strong defence then from the AlphaTauri driver to hold on to third position. Roy Boy 6 tenths of a second behind the Mercedes car, and of course got to be careful you don't pick up any more warnings. And of course a last lap penalty would be absolutely disastrous for any of these guys. Poor Artillery Superman hasn't caught up the pack in times. Neva has poor Speed Queen, who's another 30, 40 odd seconds. In fact, Speed Queen's only in turn 2, so it's going to be 6th place for the Alfa Romeo driver. As Roy Boy, if he is going to get a chance, going to have to absolutely nail turns 15 and 16. There's 15, and we're going through turn 16 now, and it's got a pretty nice 6 tenths of a second behind, but looks like Monster just getting that little bit of a smoother exit. He's going to have to absolutely nail the throttle through the S's of 17 and 18. 7 tenths of a second behind. He's going to have one slippery car to really try and get the move done. Half a second behind. He's gaining in the toe. He has got a pretty slippery car as well, hasn't he? 3 tenths of a second. He's getting closer, but he's not quite going to have it into turn 1. But can he force a mistake from the Mercedes driver? Can he even try and get it almost Bottas and Lance Stroll style to the line 2017 on the last lap? It could well be possible. We know Roy Boy's got the pace to pit Monster Blue under a lot of pressure. They're 2.4 seconds to these two of Hutari and Rudy, so it's a 1v1 battle for the win. It's a 1v1 for the podium. Rudy is giving Hutari all sorts of headaches, but he's just about holding on. He's got less than a lap to hold on to that third place. Roy Boy is keeping under the rear wing of that Mercedes. Rudy taking a really nice line out of turn 4, gaining a couple of attempts on Hutari. He's going to have a look into turn 5. It would have been a bold call. He's kept it nice and tight through turn 5, opens up turn 6. He's 4 tenths of a second away from the AlphaTauri driver, but it looks like these two are just about going to hang on, Scott.
Yeah, it looks like they are, you know, but we know if Roy Boy can get a good run out of this castle section and go through turn, is it turn 14, a bit of a big curve? You know, he got a bit of a sideline on the exit there, which isn't great. But he does gain sort of 2.5, 3 tenths. Coming through the last sort of chicane. He just misses the apex there. Looks like Monster Blue might just have it. I won't jinx him too much until he gets the exit done there, and it looks like he's just going to have it there. Roy Boy gets a little slide on the exit. Rudy and Hutari though on the exit there, they're flat out through this last chicane. Can Rudy send it through the chicane and get a better run? Oh, he's nearly lost it. Oh, he's lucky that was the last lap. He sent it, he was going for it, but he couldn't quite do it. If Monster Blue is going to come across the line, and he takes another spectacular win for him and takes him into the lead of the championship, which is 2 rounds to go.
Yeah, well done to Monster Blue. I think it was a victory. I don't think anyone can really blame about that. He got fastest lap on the last lap of the race as well, so maximum 16 points for Monster Blue, which is the 3rd time this season he has taken the maximum points, the race win and the fastest lap, so a job well done. In fact, the safety car actually helped him because it got him a point. I think Roy Boy would have got fastest lap without it, so I'm sure he'll take the positive in that. Simba Superman comes to the line, comes home a distant 5th position, and I think we're just waiting on Speed Queen to come around turn 16. And I think Basta's in the distance there, who's sadly we lost, and he never rejoined. So the championship lead has gone for the Ferrari driver. Monster Blue inherits that one, and he inherits it, and he will now lead the championship by, I think it'll be about 15 points. So he will go into the last 2 rounds with it in his hands. And Roy Boy breaks his duck and gets into the podium spots for the first time this season after so many races of being in the hunt for the podium. After 3 4th places this season, he finally gets it, and he gets on the 2nd step as well. And Hutari, an incredible record, 7th 3rd position of the season out of 10 races, a 6th 3rd place in a row. And well done to him, and certainly making 3rd place his own, and he's gaining points on BSAS as well this evening. to give himself a chance of at least getting second in the championship, but it's not good for his championship hopes of being number one, because that man has won again for the fifth time this season, and for the third time in succession. The Mercedes driver taking the lead and taking the win this evening on a Tuesday night in the F2 League. A massive well done to him. A massive well done to the Dutchman of Roy Boy for getting his first podium of the season. It's certainly been a long-awaited and a well-deserved one for him. Otari, again, a third place. A well done to him. Great consistency from him. Rudy gave absolutely everything, even threatened to DNF in the last couple of corners, sending it to try and give himself a chance of a run to the line alongside the Finnish driver. But P4 is a great result. A P2 and a P4 in the first two races is a good showing. Simply Superman, I'm sure, will be happy with P5, and of course Mashiro and Bisas won't be classified, as Speed Queen will pick up the last of the 6 remaining cars. And a massive well done to those who all turned up, and of course those 6 in particular, for getting to the end in what has been a very troublesome evening for these guys. Of course, we said how difficult street circuits are in general. Scott, Baku is certainly no exception, if anything, because it's so hard. It's one of the harder ones, and in the rain, I think those guys got to the flag, did a really good job.
Yeah, it's a really difficult track, and the dry, like we said in qualifying, you know, to nail a lap in qualifying is difficult enough, but to do 26 laps, you know, in the wet, you know, with a safety car at the end, just to sort of, you know, spice up the mix. It's I think they've done, you know, a very, very good job. You know, Monster Blue showing exactly, you know, what he needs to do to win this championship. It's a big shame for Mashiro. Hopefully he comes back, you know, better and fighting for the last 2 rounds, because he's not out of it. You know, and like we said, it's motor racing, anything can happen. You know, I've always said that you get 95% bad luck and 5% good luck in my eyes. But yeah, the championship's still on. You know, with Hutari getting a podium as well. You know, the championship fight's still there, and you know, I'm looking forward to Russia in just 7 days' time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly a very good watch, and of course, make sure you tune back in to the Invictus Racing League on YouTube, live at 8 PM on every single Tuesday. We will bring you round 11 of the F2 season here at Invictus, and of course it will be in Russia for the second to last round of the season before we head to Vietnam in a fortnight's time. But massive well done to Monster Blue, who takes the championship lead, and of course it is very much in his hands, as Foxy quite kindly points out. Yes, it is another Mercedes driver taking the championship lead with 2 rounds to go. Thank you very much for that. As thank you so much for joining us. We say we'll hopefully have a few more drivers on the grid for next week. Of course, difficult circuit is Baku, and I'm sure everyone loves Russia, so I couldn't even imagine why they would not want to race in such a lovely, glorious Olympic car park. But we'll have a look at how it goes. Wednesday night, F3 and F4 on the PS4 leagues, live on YouTube, 8 PM. It's brought to you by Ryan and Jakob, and of course Jacob brings you F4 live on YouTube. Of course, Thursday night is your Realistic Performance League. Malc and Tim bring you that one. As ever, you can see myself and Scott racing from somewhere near the back from that one as well. I'm sure that'll be a chaotic race with reverse grids. Sunday night live on Twitch, Xbox F1 League, and of course Monday we kick off round 11 in the F1 League in Russia, live on YouTube, 8 PM. Monday night is Gareth and Sab, of course, calling all the action. Of course, on our Twitch channels, you can find us at twitch.tv/Invictus Racing League, where you can also find F2 League of Xbox as well. And our socials, you can find at Invictus Racing League for Instagram, at Invictus RL for Twitter. You can find us on Facebook for photo albums, interviews and news with all your favourite drivers. You can check out our brand new website for standings, facts, Hall of Fame, all that kind of good stuff. And of course, if you want to get yourself onto the grid, whether it be to get yourselves on the reserve list before the end of the season, or to get yourself on the grid for season 12, be sure to go to our website. That is how you get in touch and let us know through the application forms. And we'd love to have you here, of course, here at Invictus. And of course, we very much hope you enjoyed. And of course, if you did, remember to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you did. And thank you very much for joining myself and Scott. We will see you hopefully in a week's time. Have a very good evening, and we hope to see you again very, very soon.